his heritage. He's unaware of his Atlantean background. He's get emotional and deep with the brother-brother fight once that becomes aware.
Are there other elements that just really had to be changed because of the differences between comics and animation?
Yeah, I mean, we had to change Aquaman's relationship with his mother and that realization. Obviously, his relationship with his father, and then what it was going to look like when these two brothers went head-to-head. And there's some real heavy-duty Game of Thrones stuff in there. Orm is a Machiavellian bastard. Yes.
Aquaman's gonna die?
Yes, spoiler alert, he's gonna die in the movie. Sorry. Yeah. No, he does not die in this one. Aquaman is not wrong. So it's really interesting when you have a bunch of people, you can't go, so it becomes very murky to say who is the villains of these pieces, because you can look at it a bunch of different ways and go, oh geez, everybody's right. And that's a really interesting place to position the audience, because they're going to go, oh, that's cool, wait, that guy's right, oh no, wait, that guy's right. So it's going to be an interesting experience, because there's no clear-cut bad guy. Manta's pretty bad. I will say, Manta's pretty bad.
You mentioned about the relationship with his mother.
Yes.
She's never really been, like, she's been mentioned, but they've never actually given her, like, actual, a spotlight. What can you tell us about that?
When we start, she is the Queen of Atlantis. After the events of Justice League War, in Darkseid's attack on the Earth, and the Atlanteans blame the surface dwellers for the death of their king, and they declare it an act of war. Now the Queen is trying to keep a lid on it. She thinks that they should stay hidden and that they should stay peaceful, and the surface dwellers should not know anything, not even know about their existence. So she is a very powerful, bold, strong leader, and you will see Orm smash up against that in his drive for war against the surface dwellers.
Have we seen any new abilities from Aquaman that we've never seen before?
I don't know that you're going to see anything you've never seen before. It's going to start in ways that you've never seen it before. Because they're new to him, he's very surprised by everything that happens. So that's going to be some joyful realizations once Arthur Curry figures out he can do some of this stuff.
Any Cthulhu action?
Cthulhu action?
My goodness.
No Cthulhu. We see like there's a lot of sea life that we play with. There's a shark moment that I think everyone's going to be really excited to see in there. So we pay a lot of fan homage. I will say it starts with a drunk Arthur Curry in a seafood restaurant talking to a lobster in a tank.
That's great.
Oh, yes. So that's a nice tip to the fans.
Now,
it's hardest to think.
Well, it felt like with Justice League War, you were building towards something even bigger.
Yeah.
And are we still trying to invoke that same feeling with this one? Because we found out it connected at the end.
That's right.
And it felt huge. It felt big and all-encompassing. Are we getting the same thing here?
That's right. This is even bigger. This is a all-and-out invasion of the entire planet from the Atlanteans.
Oh, it's the entire... Okay, it's not just a seaboard. Okay, got you.
It's bad. It's bad news. And these guys are pretty powerful. Like, Aquaman's their leader, but he's only one of them. And now if a whole bunch of them, and they decide to attack the surface world, we're in big trouble. We see a huge tsunami about to hit Metropolis and wipe them out. So there's some major stakes in this.
Okay.
I was just going to say, as a writer dealing with the Justice League Adventures, and then dealing with this new sort of wave of movies in which it's like, let's focus on Cyborg, let's focus on this. Which is, as a writer, is that more challenging? Is Justice trying to sort of make this Justice League kind of secondary to...
That's an interesting question. It's never secondary. I think it's always great to have a nice focus and have a nice arc with someone who is your main touchstone. He's the person who has the origin story of that movie. In the last one it was Cyborg, and this one it's Aquaman. And then we still are continuing the dynamics of our Justice League from Justice League War. So you're going to see the same dynamics that we laid out. Batman, Green Lantern don't necessarily like each other. Cyborg and Shazam are trying to figure out their place in the world. Cyborg's trying to deal with the fact that he's part machine. And how much can you replace in a man and still make him a man? At what point does he feel like I'm just a machine and that's all I am? So there's a lot of really interesting things. Also, I always think it's really interesting to have the second adventure with a team. Because the first time's an accident. The second time is like, well, we've done this before. We didn't necessarily do it well, but like, are we a team just because we've done it twice? What are we now? Are we a bowling league that just gets together every week?
So when the movie, I feel like, has a lot of different locations that they can use. Obviously, we're going to see Aquaman on land, but I'm saying when the Justice League go to confront him, are we going to see them go to Atlantis, or is it all going to be on land when they?
You will see the Justice League go to Atlantis.
Batman underwater.
Action figure underwater.
There you
I'm not
go.
saying they all go, but you will see some of the Justice League go down. But let me just say this: if you send your heavy hitters down to Atlantis, who does that leave to stop a huge tsunami hit Metropolis? And how is that a problem? Because what's Batman going to do when a tsunami hits? Yeah. So let's say you left Flash and Shazam and Batman to stop a tsunami. Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you ask some people with Batman with enough planning,
He would solve it.
yeah,
His
he'll
plan.
solve the
Yes.
he'll
exactly.
solve the tsunami
Yeah,
plan.
the Bat God.
All he
Yeah.
really has to do is stand in front of the wave and go, "I'm Batman."
That's right. And the wave stops.
And the whole is belt for something.
Well, that's
Tsunami
you
repellent
will
spray.
not,
The
you
bat
will not
sponge.
see the bat shark repellent.
Oh,
in
no,
this
no,
one.
no,
There's
no,
no
no,
bacteria.
No hanging from the helicopter.
No hanging from the helicopter.
That shark repellent, right?
That was from
shark repellent.
Batman.
The 60s.
The 60s, yeah. The Adam West.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
What was the hardest thing for you to adapt, or what was the hardest change you had to make for this movie? Can you talk about that? Or
Yeah, I think it was a challenge because the Aquaman in the comics is not the Aquaman of this movie because he's not already the king of the sea. He's not, I mean, in issue 4 of Justice League of the New 52, he shows up, he's literally, he's like, who should be in charge? It should be me. And he's the guy. Like, he's already king of the Atlantis. He says, I should be king of 30% of the world, or 70% of the world, make me king of this other 30%. He's not that guy yet. So that was a major change. So we had to sort of track Arthur Curry stepping up to become a hero, to becoming Aquaman, to feeling part of the Justice League. So that was a really interesting, different thing, and it takes us off the rails in a really positive way from the experience of the comic books. So you could read the comic books, you're still not necessarily going to know what happens in the movie, which I like doing, and that's something that James Tucker is really big on. He's like, we want to give people a different experience, because if it was just about the comic books, you could go read the comic books.
Right.
But this, we want to give people a real different experience, and I think we do.
So I know that there's. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I
They're
know.
so polite. So polite to each other.
Is there going to be further exploration about Wonder Woman and Superman's relationship? Are we going to see more from them?
We take another step in Wonder Woman and Superman's relationship. And let's just say it gets a little bit more complicated because he has started to see a certain reporter at the Daily Planet who interrupts them on a little date.
Last question.
Yes. Oh, did you have one?
Oh,
Oh, no.
no, I was going to continue on from. Well, you're saying that Aquaman is, a very different character in this. He's possibly, it sounds like, more vulnerable. I guess you touched on this a little bit, but how does that affect all of the other relationships that he has? You mentioned the father, his mother, and everyone else, but I guess as far as the Justice League.
Well, I will say, one of my favorite moments that's there, not to spoil too much, but Arthur Curry's angry. He's never known Atlantis. And for Mara to come to him and say, you have to come down and help save Atlantis, he has no connection to these people. These are not someone that he's grown up with. He doesn't know his mantle. He's like, what have these people ever done for me? I have no idea. And it's Superman who says, if I had a chance to spend even 2 minutes with the place that I am from, that would be worth it. And it all sort of comes to him, and he's like, oh, that's an interesting point. Like, this guy is a survivor, and I'm a survivor, and from a different place. And so there's some interesting connections that he makes with different people. Yeah. Done. Thank you guys so much.